Hey there, it's Sheryl. If you have just stumbled upon this by accident or a friend forwarded it to you, I encourage you to hop on my list at www.sherylkline.com. This content can come your way every week for free. If you are what I call a lifer and you've been with me for a while and been on my list for the last few months or few years, thank you for joining. Today, we're going to talk about injury prevention and recovery, and we're going to talk about mental toughness and its place that it plays in injury recovery. And then tomorrow afternoon, I am going to be privileged enough to spend some time with Jason Johnson, who is a personal fitness trainer, coach, and favorite of many teens over at Forma Gym in Walnut Creek, California. If you are able to catch it live tomorrow, Thursday, that would be March 23rd, 2017 at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Join us. If you're catching this after the fact, no worries. It will be in my Facebook feed. So go ahead and hop onto my Facebook page, my business page, if you want to catch that or catch any future live cast. That is www.facebook.com/SherylKlineMA. That was a mouthful. All right, let's get down to business. We are talking about injury prevention and recovery, but first we're going to talk about injury recovery and the mental toughness surrounding it and the tips that teens can learn so they can not so much make progress while they are injured, but so they can maintain their level of competency as well as maintain their level of optimism. All right, so let's get started. Keep in mind that the mental toughness acronym that I have created is called the Zoned In Mental Toughness acronym, and that is part of my online course. The I in Zoned In stands for imagery training, and that's what we are going to be talking about today. Imagery training is an advanced tool that many high-level athletes use so they can accelerate progress, and not necessarily when they're injured, but it's an important tool that teens can use when they are injured because, as I mentioned, it can be used so they can maintain their level of competency. Now, keep in mind, when teens are injured, there's not a way that they can really accelerate their progress as if they're actually playing. But what you want to see is so they can maintain their level of competency. So once they do get back on their feet and they get back into the arena there, that they will be starting from this, from where they left off rather than a couple steps behind. So imagery training is going to be very important for that. Now, the first tip is when teens are sidelined that they need to stay very engaged with their sport. There's a couple ways they can do that. If they're able and they can go to practices and sit and watch, that would be ideal. And just so they can remain very engaged. Also, it'd be helpful if they can watch videos either of themselves or other players or teammates, or even on TV or YouTube clips or what have you of their sport. And that's the first thing, that they should stay very engaged. Not just watch them, but be very deliberate in the way that they watch them. They should keep an eye on players that are playing their particular position, and they're going to keep their eyes open for things, what I call sequences, and those are things that are very important to your teen's particular position. So, for example, if you have a lacrosse player and short distance passing is very important, or long distance passing is very important, or a certain type of defense is very important, they want to pay specific attention when they are watching practice or watching videos. And keep in mind, they need to surround a lot of emotion around that when they see these sequences that are being done very well. This is the same thing that I teach kids that are actually practicing, to surround a lot of emotion around the good stuff. And then when they see someone make a mistake, what have you, just take it in and let it roll off a little bit, and don't surround so much emotion around the things that don't go so well. So the first thing is remain very, very engaged in not just practice, but the team's particular position that they're playing, and be very aware of sequences or short movies that have to do with the particular position that a teen plays and that's important to them doing their best. The second thing is that teens really need to make a choice. They can make a choice if they want to be use their emotions in a bad way, meaning if they want to be disengaged, disappointed, upset, and really stew in those feelings quite a bit, or if they're going to remain optimistic, get very engaged, and have a positive outlook. One way that they can stay positive is to set goals through their recovery. Just like they set goals when they're playing to accelerate their progress and get better, they can set goals for their recovery. And what that involves, maybe they have to go to physical therapy. Maybe there's certain exercises they need to do. Maybe they need to get through a surgery. Once they do that, they need to set goals surrounding those and then celebrate the wins, no matter how big or how small. So if they make it through, I shouldn't say if they make it through a surgery, but when they make it through a surgery and it's successful, of course, they're like, yes, I made it through a surgery. I'm one step closer. Let's say they might set a goal for getting through 3 physical therapy appointments or doing 3 sets of 10 exercises that the physical therapist gives them. They need to really set recovery goals, just like they set goals for themselves when they're actually playing. That will keep them laser focused on getting healthy. It'll keep them focused on doing something that they can feel satisfied and proud about. And they need to really make a conscious effort to stay optimistic, because when they do, then they're really focusing on the things that's going to help them to get well and get healthy. And it's also going to accelerate their progress through their recovery. Now, keep in mind on Thursday, that will be tomorrow, if you're watching this in real time, the same day that we sent it out, I'm going to have a live discussion with Jason Johnson. Now, Jason is as I mentioned, a personal trainer and an instructor and a favorite of the teens at Forma Gym at Walnut Creek. He works with a lot of the sports teams in the area, and I talked a little bit about injury recovery as far as from a mental toughness perspective, but he's going to talk about prevention, and in particular, prevention for shoulders and knees. I can't tell you how many kids I've worked with that have had issues with their knees. Either they have strained them or they have completely blown out, either typically an ACL, but sometimes MCL or a different part of the knee too. So prevention is huge. We're going to be talking knees and shoulders. Now, for the knees, one thing that he's going to mention is to pay special attention to those abductors and adductors. When I talked to him last week, he was talking about how those are very, very important for stability. So flexibility and strength for those is very important. And in regards to shoulders, he's going to mention a little bit about teres minor, which is an important muscle that really, a muscle group that gets overused a lot, especially for pitchers and anyone who has to throw balls kind of overhand. So that's going to be a really interesting conversation with Jason. He's probably also going to demonstrate a couple stretching and strengthening exercises to help with prevention. Now, keep in mind, as with anything else, teens and us adults, we should really get the okay from our doctor before we try any new stretching or strength training. So this is just for informational purposes only, and be sure to check or have your teen check with a doctor first before they try any of these things. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you are a teen or you have a teen that's injured, the bad news is that you're sidelined, but the good news is that you're young, and doctors these days have amazing tools to get you back on your feet as soon as possible. If you can practice some of these imagery training tips and tools, really stay engaged and practice either in real life or via watching video, and pay special attention to the things that are very, very important to your position, and then think about them at night. Maybe again, we talked about setting goals, so set a goal for maybe thinking about 2 or 3 of the most important sequences in your sport about at least 5 nights a week. That's not necessarily going to help you get better, but it will help teens maintain their level of competency until they are back on their feet, back in the arena, and back to them back to their old selves. So thanks so much for watching. If you can, tune in on Thursday. I will be with Jason Johnson at Form a Gym. If this is after the fact, go ahead and check out the newsfeed on my Facebook page. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.